ladies and gentlemen, it is 5:30, so we'll go ahead and get the meeting called to order. I'd like to thank everybody for being with us for our April Board of Commissioners meeting. It's hard to believe that we're almost finished with April. We're almost into May already. So hope everybody had a happy Easter and enjoyed a great Easter weekend and spent time with your family. At this time, I've asked Charles Reese if he would actually lead us in our invocation, and following that, Chief Prather, would you lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
And we bow our heads. Father God, we thank you for just another day to breathe life and for your new mercies and grace that you bestow on us every single day. We ask that you continue to bless our elected officials with the wisdom needed to protect and maintain the well-being of this wonderful community called Pickens County. Father God, we thank you for what you did on our behalf as we celebrated that this past weekend. We just thank you for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I know the agenda has been sent out and has also been advertised, and copies were placed here. I do not know of any amendments to the agenda. Are you aware?
No, sir. I don't think there's any.
Do either of you have any amendments you'd like to see? With no amendments, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as it's been presented?
So moved. I'll second.
We'll move in a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And the agenda is approved, and we'll move straight on through. As you can see under the consent agenda, the month of March and April seems to be Proclamation month. I know we've got a staff member that stated we need to solve all financial problems for the county by charging a proclamation fee, and we have not. So we do have quite a few that we're going to read into the record. I'm just going to go through and tell you the titles of each one. The first was a proclamation for Crime Victims' Rights Week, the week of April 6th through the 12th, celebrating the hard work so many are doing to fight for crime victims during that week. Second was Child Abuse Awareness Month. The month of April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, so we encourage everyone to work hard to try to help get the message out for standing on behalf of the children that are abused. The third proclamation that we have here was for Safe Digging Month. Apparently the month of April is also a time you shouldn't commit crimes, hurt children, or dig without calling first to make sure that you're not going to hit an underground utility. So we did a proclamation for them as well. The Great American Cleanup for Pickens County. We celebrated that for April of 2025 to work with Keep Pickens Beautiful on Great American Cleanup. Celebrating all the CASA, the court-appointed special advocates, in the month of April. The proclamation was on April the 9th, celebrating all of the hard work of the court-appointed special advocates in our judicial circuit. And then we had an opportunity to celebrate all of our 911 dispatchers. The week of April 13th through the 19th was National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, celebrating all the hard work of our 911 dispatchers. I know that the community stepped up in a tremendous way, providing support for our dispatchers, providing meals, and I think all the dispatchers were adopted by someone during that week and taken care of, so that was neat to see everyone step up and do so much. So all of those proclamations are now received and part of our record, and we were honored to get to be a part of each of those as we went through the last few weeks. Next item on our agenda is to call a public hearing. This is a public hearing for a request for the abandonment of a portion of Pettit Road. We do have a request that a portion of that road be done. The way in which that's going to work, we'll call the public hearing to order. We'll make the statements to provide the details around the area that is for. Open up the floor for public comments. We'll give equal time for opposition as well as support. And then we will close the public hearing. There's an item later on the agenda if the board so chooses to go ahead and consider the adoption. We will bring that up at that point. So at this time, do I have a motion to initiate public hearing number 1.
So
Second motion.
Moving a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Then we will kick off the public hearing portion. So I'll do the presentation that shows the basic material. I know that each of you have it in your packet as well. The first is to take a look at the portion of Pettit Road, which is highlighted, that has been requested to be considered for abandonment. The road has not been utilized as a public road for the purposes of travel for a period of time. At a regular meeting on March the 17th, the board did determine that a portion of Pettit Road has ceased to be used by the public to the extent that no substantial public purpose is served by it, and the removal of the said portion of Pettit Road would serve the best interest. There are 3 different views. This first view shows that highlighted portion of Pettit. The second shows that highlighted portion in conjunction with the parcels in which that it touches. You have the legends of land touching the northern side, Vito and Carlo Portobello, having the property on the southern side of that portion of property that goes through. So it's bordered on both sides. It has been, in essence, a trail for a period of time. The same landowners that own the southern portion also are affiliated with Legends of Land on the northern side as well. Process is to review that, to take a look at the request. It does not have a utilization right now that public safety is using to access to go through that portion of property. The most of the general, here's a section that would be a part of the quitclaim that just kind of shows X's. It's the same map, just with kind of a different viewpoint, so you can kind of see the area for that portion. Most of the general legal descriptions, portion of Pettit Road lying being about land lots 47, 48 of the 13th district, second section of Pickens County, Georgia. Tax ID parcel numbers, as we showed here before, 041144, 04114401, 0411440002, 0411440003, and 0411440004. Those are the 4 different parcels of property. The abutting property owners, Mr. Portobello and Mrs. Portobello, and the Legends of Land LLC have been communicated to, and I believe Mr. Portobello is present with us in the meeting as well today. So this is the portion that we've gotten that request to consider the abandonment of. At this time, I would like to open up for any public comments. We'll begin with those in favor. Anyone that has any words that they would like to express. As I said, we will give equal portion of time, up to 10 minutes on both sides. So I'll open up the floor.
Just on behalf of the adjoining landowners, they're in favor of the abandonment.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any others that would like to speak in favor of? All right, at this time, anyone that would like to speak in opposition of? No other comments? Do I have any board comments? Most silent public hearing that we've ever been able to have, I do believe.
I guess to be clear, right at the far right-hand side of your map there, Pettit Road dead ends at that spot, right?
So there is one other parcel of property between there and the dead end of Pettit Road, where it runs into Salem Church. There is one other parcel of property, so there is a small portion that's still remaining.
And the other parcel is accessible by Salem Church.
It is, but there's also really no access through there. Right now, it's a trail through a yard that goes to a gated area that goes into the portion that's in question here. That makes sense. Any questions on here? Okay. All right, well, at this time, do I have a motion that we close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that'll close public hearing number 1. And then, like I said, we have an item on the agenda as we go further into the agenda that we will consider that, and we have the resolution drafted for your review. Hopefully you've had a chance to look at before we came in. At this time, public hearing number 2, this is a down zone request. This is the public hearing for an applicant that is requesting to down zone their property. I'm going to turn the floor over after we actually call this public hearing and make a motion to call the public hearing. We'll have Ms. Craig Gooch, I almost get it right, that's going to make a presentation of the material, and then we'll open up for any public comments on that as well. So do I have a motion to go into public hearing number 2?
So moved.
Second.
Moving a second. All in favor? The floor is yours, man.
Thank you. So the first one we've got is RZ 190907. This one is for Tim and Tracy McCleskey. It's 14692 Highway 53 East. They are requesting to take 2 parcels which make up 17.44 acres from highway business to ag. The intent of the request is to construct a single family dwelling. You can see on the map behind you, it's got 2 different points, well, 3 different points really of road frontage, Highway 53, and then Fox Run that runs alongside it. It's surrounded by rural residential and ag. It is in the crossroads community of Marble Hill, which promotes ag and low density single family residential zonings. While the current zoning is consistent with the comprehensive plan, the proposed zoning is also reasonable and justified given the character of the surrounding area. With that, staff recommends approval of the downzoning request of 048032 and 048033 from highway business to agriculture with the following condition, that the 2 parcels must be combined to conform with the ag dimensional requirement.
All right. So before we go to the public, do y'all have any questions?
I do not.
All right, I'd like to open up, I don't know if the applicant's present with us today. If the applicant is present, if you've got anything you'd like to add?
Well, just want to move up here, and I live in Forsyth County now. I'm ready to get out of there. And we found this, I said, this is what we want. So that's why we're trying to get it.
Excellent.
Awesome, excellent, thank you. Anybody else that wants to hear that would like to speak in favor of? Since we are in a public hearing, anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of? With none, do I have a motion that we close the first public hearing? And like I said earlier in the prior one, we will have an item on our agenda for the voting time when we get into the rezones. So we'll have this item on the agenda for the rezone vote as well.
I'm moving close to hearing.
Second motion.
Moved in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Then we will move on to public hearing number 3, which is an applicant of Stan Fitz, public hearing for another downzone request from Suburban Residential to ag. Do I have a motion that we go into our third public hearing?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is yours again, Ms. Gooch.
Thank you. So this one is RZ 190910 for Mr. Stan Fitz. He has 3 parcels that are located on Camp Dobbs Road. It makes up about 247.96 acres together. It's currently zoned suburban residential, and they're requesting that it be taken to ag for the purpose of pursuing more agricultural related projects on the property. You can see that it's surrounded by primarily rural residential, but there's some ag to the left side of it there. The character area is rural residential, which of course is pushes for those agricultural land uses. And the requested zoning is a reasonable and justified action that serves the interest of both the applicant and the community. The applicant will be able to utilize the land effectively for agricultural purposes, ensuring the land's area or the area's sustainable use for resources. Staff recommends approval of this rezoning request from suburban residential to ag for parcel 063103, 063103-029, and 063103-030.
Any commissioners comment?
Are they planning on combining the parcels or
They're
keeping
not.
them separate? Okay.
But each of them
Each of them
are
are big
large
enough by
enough.
themselves.
Yeah, they are, yeah. I think the smallest is like 13 acres.
We'll make a comment just to pick on Commissioner Tatum. I know he's frustrated that we're going from the potential of 247 homes down to a maximum of 24
I'm
homes.
very upset by this.
All right, well, with that, I don't believe the applicant was able to be present, so The way that this happens, if there's anyone here to speak in opposition, we would table this public hearing for our future public hearing date. If there's no one here to speak in opposition, we'll go ahead and consider it as an item to vote on. So I will ask, is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition of? Okay, well, with no one speaking in opposition, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of it? We'll open it up so that there's both opportunities as well. No. Do I have a motion that we close the third public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moving to second, all in favor?
Aye.
We will move on to the remaining part of our agenda. Ms. Gooch, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Presenting those. Next item on the agenda is our old business, which we have done, so we can quickly move into new business. We do have a handful of different things to consider under new business. The first is consideration and approval of the annual financial agreement with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension Service. This is an annual event that we have to go through. The calendar year for the state is different than the calendar year, the fiscal year for the state is different than our fiscal year, so it always comes up midway through ours. But it does show in the attachments in your packet that the total annual compensation from the county for all of the staff members for the county extension, that's our match or our portion of that is $39,800.33. The first half of that has already been spent out of the prior budget from the state's budget, but because their calendar year and fiscal year aren't the same as ours, we have to make sure that we update that prior to theirs. With no questions, I would like to open the floor first for a motion, and then we can ask questions as we go forward, that we approve and authorize me as chairman to sign all necessary documents to ensure that we've got this agreement in place with the state county cooperative extension agency.
So moved.
I'll second.
Move in a second. Now, any discussion or questions?
Can you repeat the motion?
No. I'm hoping that Lisa is an incredible note taker is what I'm hoping.
I have it.
With no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item is consideration and approval of employee handbook updates. Know that we do have a handful of updates that, working with our human resources staff, that we've got in here. I'm just gonna go through the highlighted portions of what's in the handbook that was shared with you. You can see in the table of contents, it's dealing with verification of employment policy, working occasionally or sporadically for dual county departments. And that's when we go through the portions, and then our retirement and our EOC activation compensation. If you go into the handbook, the first is the verification of employment policy. It just states how human resources will go through. It's an updated language to make sure that we're updating verification on employment. The next item, which is found on page 9, is working occasionally or sporadically for dual county departments. This is taking the language directly from Department of Labor Title 29 that deals with Fair Labor Standards Act for employees to show that there are times where that is an acceptable practice. We've had a recent employee who's a full-time employee in one department has been asked to do part-time work on their days off, and that kind of raised that question. So in the research, we're updating our policy to match what the federal policy is to show that consistently. Next item is on page 32. This is our EOC activation compensation. It always gets tricky when we have a storm and we're having to activate and call in staff, and some are salaried staff and some are hourly staff on cover and operation. And this just provides the guidelines so that we've got a clear, consistent standard every time, and our wonderful EMA director is going to keep track of who works in the center whenever it is activated, so that we make sure that we're tracking that correctly and that we're making sure that the employees are compensated for the work that they do when they are scheduled to come in. The next is in the workplace violence prevention policy. It just states that indirect or direct threats of violence, incidents, or actual violence and suspicious individuals or activities should be reported as soon as possible. It's updated the language to include supervisor, department head, human resources, the chairman, or county marshal. So we added the addition of if they felt like it was a law enforcement matter that they would notify the county marshal. The retirement updates just reflect what we voted on, I believe, 2 months ago, and the changes to our retirement. We're getting that updated in the handbook and the manual as well. Those are all that have been presented from Human Resources to make sure that we can get our handbook reflective of all those changes. So with that, I'd like to ask, do we have a motion to update the changes to the handbook as presented from the staff?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the consideration and approval of the adoption of the National Electric Code. This is an item that was when we had our work session a couple weeks ago. Mr. Reese presented the updates to the 2023 building officials from NAFTA, from the National Fire Protection Association, the National Electric Code. I believe he did a wonderful presentation to provide us with all that material. So with that, I would like to ask, do we have a motion to adopt a resolution adopting the 2023 National Electric Code?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Move in a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. On to the next item under new business is the consideration and approval of the bid for the Talking Rock Fire Station. We did conduct a bid opening on March the 12th. We had 6 different contractors that placed inner bids to construct a new fire station in Talking Rock. The lowest bid was at $878,700, so $878,700. That came from GCCI. The highest bid it ranged all the way up to 1.3 million. We've had staff go through and verify all the information within the bids to make sure that it is consistent with what we need to move forward. With that, I would like to entertain a motion that we go ahead and provide a notice to proceed, enter into the contract with GCCI as the low bidder to begin the construction of the Talking Rock Fire Station.
Like a motion to approve, but only because the chief said it here.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, with a move and a second, I would like to amend the motion slightly as authorizing me as chairman to sign all necessary documents that would be affiliated with that as well. So if we're okay with an amended motion, the amendment just being the addition of allowing the chairman to sign all documents necessary. With that, any discussion or questions?
What's the time frame for, rough? I mean, like,
Nothing like being put on the spot.
1 year, 2 years, 5 years, what?
I'm thinking probably a year.
Yeah.
I know the site work, we will be handling through our public works department. They've already been working on the site plan as far as putting in the retention pond, draining, all that. So public works and our building department with Randy Pinion, they've both been meeting back and forth on trying to get all the site work prep going. So they're probably gonna blame it on us for a little while, but it's gonna take them a minute to order the materials, and hopefully we'll finish it while they're waiting on the materials to come in. And we can go ahead and get that construction process going as soon as
If
possible.
you do, I can beat that timeline.
Do it. Any other discussion or question?
Sorry, I woke you up, chief.
All right, with no more questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and we will get that process up and running. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is the consideration and approval of a resolution to abandon a portion of Pettit Road. This is the resolution that deals with our first public hearing that we discussed earlier. The resolution also includes, that was in your packet, you have the full resolution along with the quitclaim deed necessary in order to sign over the portions of the road to the property owner where that land goes, so that becomes theirs as well. With that, I'd like to entertain a motion that we approve the resolution and authorize myself as chairman to sign all necessary documents, including the quitclaim deed, to fulfill that.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
We'll move in a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, that motion carries. That brings us to a chance for me to take a break from talking, and it's our quarterly finance report. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to our CFO, Ms. Miranda McDowell, and let her go through.
Good afternoon, everybody. Alright, so we just finished up our first quarter of fiscal year 2025. These numbers reflect as of March the 31st. Alright, so start off with quarter one revenue. General fund is at $5,247,937. And special revenue, E911, is at $63,779. Proprietary funds is at $1,060,310. Proprietary fund revenue is low due to the grant activity. Low grant activity. All right. General fund revenue, quarter one. Taxes are at $2,900,000. I can't see because I don't have my glasses, so I'm trying to do it. $2,936,110, which is 9.6%. License and permits is at $170,244, which is 22.9%. Intergovernmentals at $420,244, which is 11%. Charges for services is at $1,391,130, 31%. Fines and forfeitures are at $39,340, which is 17%. And contributions and donations are at $2,572, which is 7%. Interest income's at $7,823 and 31%. Miscellaneous is at $80,574, which is 37%. Overall, we're at $5,247,937. That's 13%. Should be 25% or more. All right, other fund revenue, special E911 special revenue is at $63,780, which is 4%. Water is at $860,142, which is 23%. Airport is at $200,169, and that's 4%. Each one of these the revenue is low just because of it being the first quarter and grant activity. All right, general governmental expenditures. Commission and general is at $601,628, which is 19%. Elections is at $113,238, which is 22%. Tax commissioners at $184,585, which is 20%. Tax assessors at $196,079, which is 20%. General government buildings is at $164,665. That is a total of $1,260,196. That's 20%, and it should be 25% or less. So we're doing good there. Judicial expenses, we are at Superior Court is 20%, which is $478,975. Clerk of Court's at $233,146, which is 22%. District Attorney is at $78,675, that's 12%. Magistrate Court is $111,588, which is 18%. Probate Court is $128,828, and 20%. Juvenile Court is at $104,539, which is 18%. And Public Defender is $304,617, which is 32%. Total judicial is at $1,304,219, which is 19%. Public safety, Sheriff's Office is at $2,589,360, which is 24%. Probation's at $69,928, which is 17%. Fire is $1,685,265, which is 24%. Coroner is at $20,618, which is 18%. Animal shelter is $80,076, which is 17%. EMA is at $56,134, which is 33%. County Marshal is at $44,792, which is 19%. Overall, total public safety is $4,501,382, which is 23%. Public Works, Public Works roads is at $633,435, which is 21%. Solid waste and landfill is at $200,581, which is 15%. And public education, which is Keep Pickens Beautiful, is at $20,000,
which is 100%. Total public works is $854,016, which is 19%. Health and wellness expenditures are at, the health department's at $20,902, which is 25%. Health department regulations at $674.37%. Health department in buildings is $71, which is 3%. Welfare is $1,397, which is 5%. Senior center is $3,077, 13%. And MAPS, which is transportation service, is $29,358, which is 21%. Total health and welfare is at $55,480, which is 20%. Culture and recreation expenditures. Recreation's at $203,835, which is 22%. Swimming pools is $6,383, which is 14%. Program sports is $62,733, which is 42%. Library is at $141,489. Total is $414,441, which is 25% overall. Housing and development. County extension service is at $11,407, which is 11%. Planning and development is at $124,109, which is 26%. Development authority is $4,748, which is 3%, and the total housing and development is $140,264, which is 19%. Special revenue E911 expenditures is at $347,684, which is 20%. Proprietary and enterprise funds is at, water's at $525,947, which is 14%. Airport is at $305,143, which is 6%. And total enterprise is $831,090, which is 9%. Significantly lower because of, again, less grant activity. And that is all I have. Any questions? That was a lot.
Was the less grant activity because we haven't submitted for grants, or we submitted?
It's the airport, airport progress as far as the building and everything. Yeah, so the expenses haven't went out, so the revenue has not come in.
And I will point out, I know when we were looking at the public safety, it showed EMA being over. There's been 8 activations this year, is that correct? So we've had to activate the Emergency Operations Center for 8 different weather events, starting with winter storms to the number of potential tornado. Been very, very active, very, very busy. That usually levels out for a season and then picks back up and kind of ebbs and flows. So it's not necessarily one of those where it all comes in a quarter the way that you'd like to see expenses happen.
EMA is another one of those that he has grants, so he has expenses and then reimbursements for the grants, so timing's a little different.
He's doing well. And the total number was still small, but if you look at all the expenditures, the under budget, I mean, our department heads are doing a phenomenal job once again this year at maintaining their budgets. I think some have been operating at some skeleton staffing as they've been trying to get some staffing back up, but managing overtime and doing a great job of making sure that they're keeping their budgets in line. The revenue on the revenue side, the majority of our property taxes aren't collected till the end of the year, so the fourth quarter of the year is when those come in. So you'll see an underperforming revenue line most of the year, and then it'll all pick up in the last 3 months. So that's why it kind of shows different cycles, but phenomenal job. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, next on our agenda is our action items. We do have 3 sets of minutes. Because we have an executive session, I do need to split these apart. I know that that's not your favorite way, but it's just 3. Each of you have had a chance to review the minutes as they've been provided, one from the regular meeting on March 17th, one from the executive session on March 17th, and one from the work session on April the 7th. So I'm going to ask for a separate vote on each of those. The first is the minutes from the March 17th meeting for the regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as they've been presented?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, then our executive session that occurred on the same day, on March the 17th. I know you guys have had a chance to review those, and I'd like to ask for a motion that we approve those as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And then the third is the work session on April the 7th. I know those minutes were provided in your packets as well for you to review. Do I have a motion to approve the work session minutes?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is our rezones category. We'll have those split apart for all four of the different ones, so we'll go through each one individually. I do know I had a conversation with council regarding the very first one from Abasa Al-Saidi, the rezone 190-878. They are working with their client right now, requesting to potentially reduce the density that's there. So at their request, I'd like to ask that we table that and then have it as old business on our next meeting agenda. So we'll table that until our May meeting to give them a chance to review that and provide and work with planning staff if there's a chance to look at that consideration. So with that item being tabled, actually just for making sure the record's accurate, do I have a motion that we table?
I'll make it.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that way we'll make sure I'd rather have an additional motion and vote than go through without including one. The second rezone request does come from Miss Christine Vanderwalt on behalf of Rock Creek Manor. It's rezone 190-893, located on Cagle Mill Road South. It's a request to move 8.9 acre parcel of agriculture to highway business. It's parcel 064102. The application was received on January the 31st, requesting the change to be made. Public hearing was held on March the 10th before the Planning Commission. After reviewing the application and receiving the staff report recommending approval, the Pickens County Planning Commission voted 4 yes, 0 no to approve the rezone of the parcel. At this time, I would like to make a motion that we follow the Planning Commission's recommendation for approval. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
I just want to say, I am going to withdraw this, and my reason has nothing to do with how Rock Creek Manor runs their facilities. They do a great job. It all has to do with the traffic turning out onto the 4-lane from Rock Creek Manor. That's, I don't like those left-hand turns there. It makes me very nervous, so.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Since we have a tie, that will bring it to me as chair to break the tie. I will vote in favor of approval. So I will cast my vote in favor of approval. Allow the motion to carry. Next item on the agenda is one that we heard the planning, the public hearing portion of at the beginning of the meeting. That was the request from Tim and Tracy McCleskey to downzone 190907. It's a 17.44 acre parcel located at 14692 Highway 53 East. Requested it move from highway business to agriculture. And the parcels are 048032 and 048033. And with that, I would like to open up for a motion for either approval or denial for the one that we held the public hearing on earlier today.
I'll make a motion that we approve with the staff recommendations.
All right, have a motion to approve with staff recommendation.
Second motion.
I was trying to make sure I got the staff recommendation part. All right, so I have a move in a second. Do we have any discussion or questions? All in favor? Aye. All right, none opposed. That motion carries. The next is the third public hearing we had, was a request from Mr. Fitz on downzone 190910 on Camp Dobbs Road. That was a request to move the 247.96 acre SR property to ag property. So to rezone that portion from SR to ag. With that, do I have a motion either for or against?
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or question? None, all in favor? None opposed, that motion carried. Moves us to our guest comments portion of the meeting. So open up the floor for any guests that would like to make comments.
I just want to say
Yes.
that I showed up in opposition to the rezoning, and it keeps getting tabled and tabled, but that's all I got to say.
I understand. And the request came at trying to address the concerns some of the public did at the planning commission, so I do apologize.
Not sure.
A lot of commissioners do.
The public comment?
Yeah.
I mean, you're citizens.
Welcome to Pickens County.
Any other comments? With none, our favorite motion of the day is, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.